Hello, friends, and welcome to the Stride. Today is it's time for the episode 10 of the Stride podcast. So I'm quite proud of us making it this far already. So we're just gonna keep doing it and introducing you to more and more great athletes and other people associated with sports sponsorship. Okay, but today we have a really interesting episode. So today you're going to be hearing from Eslam, and you're going to be hearing about Capoeira. And so he shared with me the sort of incredible history of the sport, how it developed, in Southern America, and how it's become a competitive sport in the modern era, and how these things link together, and how capoeira as a sport still respects its roots, and how that all fits together in a competitive sport. I think that you'll find today's episode number 10 of The Stride with Eslam very interesting. So without any further ado, let's go for it. Hello, Eslam. How are you?
Hello, good morning.
It's a good day.
Very good day. It's sunny here in Malta,
Yeah,
and the past 2 days was a lot of raining. So
you're
yeah,
back from Estonia, and we'll talk more about that in a while.
yeah,
And you're yeah, I see that you're still a little bit under the weather, but I hope that your voice holds up.
yeah. I think it's quite better now.
Yeah,
It's like just at the end, I still have my throat a bit, but it's okay.
yeah. Okay.
Alright. Yeah,
Hey, hey, thank you so much for joining the Stride, and coming here as guest for this interview. So today we're going to get to know Eslam Sagui, and also hear about capoeira. So I think that we're going to have a good discussion.
yes,
So
of course.
so
Yeah.
but first things first. So let's go all the way back in time, and so where is Eslam from? Where did you grow up, and how did you get into sports?
So first of all, I am from Libya originally. I grew up in Tripoli, the capital city of Libya. So when I was young, I was into sports a lot. I
Yeah,
was playing football every day. I was doing also breakdance, hip hop. I was always like moving, like hyper active. I
yeah,
was always climbing the walls, jumping. I always wanted to do something.
yes,
Um, yes, I trained in the gym for 3 years. In the same time, I'm playing football, doing other sports. So
yeah,
I always do more than one sport in the same
yeah,
time. Like I always feel like it's like one is not enough. You know.
yeah.
Yeah. So then I grew up. I finished my studies until high school in Libya, and then I came to Malta 2013,
Okay,
around 11 years ago. Okay, I came to study English, and then I started university here in Malta. I graduated from sports, medical sport as well.
okay.
Yeah, so my life is always around sport,
Everything is about
around
sports.
sport.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I studied sports science, physiotherapy, sports management, a bit of business, like stuff like that. I studied 6 years. And also during all that time in Malta, always playing football, always in the gym,
Yeah.
until 2020 in COVID. I went for a walk like around where I live, and they saw that group of people doing those fighting techniques with
Yeah.
music. It was on the beach because it was COVID, so
Yeah.
everyone training outside. You know, luckily, luckily because otherwise I won't see them. They will be training in the gym. You know.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was listening to music going around, and then all of a sudden, like I took my AirPods out, and then I'm hearing music somewhere, like there's something different.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking, and I'm looking like from far away, and you see those group all wearing white, okay, and they're like playing against each other, something interesting, something new. But it also seems that's something I like, you
Yeah.
know.
Was it
So
like just a detailed question, but was the music, was it like Caribbean music, or was it like hip hop or
it's kind of African like
yeah.
African instruments, you know,
Yeah.
and two people doing acrobatics, fighting against each other. The others are clapping. Okay, this is nice. I mean, this is something different. And I remember when I was young, when I was playing PlayStation, the
Yeah.
the game called Tekken, Tekken 3.
Eddie.
Ev- Everyone knows that game.
Yeah,
In
yeah. Eddie
our
Guardo,
generation,
I think. Yeah.
Eddie, Eddie Gordo. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Eddie Gordo, the African guy with long hair, you
Yeah.
know. And I remember that everyone used to take him because he never lose.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
I
just
remember,
like those spinning kicks that never
yeah,
end. Yeah.
hard, hard to, it's hard to come close to him
Yeah.
because he's unexpected and he kicks from everywhere.
Yeah.
And those guys are doing something so close to what he's doing. I'm like, oh my god, this is something I love. And then I went down to the beach, and I sat down. I was watching them until they finished the training, and then I went to speak with the master. I'm like, hey man, what is this called? Like, when are you training? How much is it? And I remember that lesson was Friday, okay?
Okay.
And then he told me we train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, okay? And I'm like, perfect. I will come Monday. I will be here Monday. And that was June 2020, beginning of June.
Yeah.
And since that day until today, I never stopped. I never stopped
Okay.
training three
That's
times a week.
amazing.
Yeah, so that's just shortly what happened. How I got into it. Yeah, if you have
Okay,
a
so so from June 2020,
yeah
so that's when you started practicing it. I'm assuming that it's pretty technical sport. So for the people who don't know what capoeira looks like,
yeah
how would you describe it to build a sort of a mental image for people on what we're
yeah
talking about here?
exactly. So capoeira is an ancient sport. Okay, started around 400 years ago with African slaves. Okay, so those slaves were taken from Africa to Brazil to work.
Yes,
It it was in a specific place called Salvador Bahia in Brazil. All
Salvador
right,
Paya.
Salvador Bahia. This
Yeah.
is this is actually the born place of capoeira because those slaves were treated badly. Okay, they were like working like 20 hours a day. They
Yeah.
don't get enough food, enough money, and they were like they were treated bad from their leaders. Okay, so there were group of those Africans came from Angola,
Yeah.
okay, from Africa, and they were training at night, so no one can see them, and they were training under long trees, long type
Okay.
of trees, so they're like kind of hidden,
Yeah.
okay, and then they took the movements they took were inspired from animals, actually.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like kind of how they got ideas on of the dynamic of capoeira, okay. And some people say that the name capoeira is the name of the tree, those trees
Okay.
they training under them, okay. This is still not confirmed, but a lot of people say it's the name of the nature around them. So those movements that we do, okay, people mistake it as a dance.
Yeah.
People who see that movement from right to left, which actually it's called jinga, and jinga
Yeah.
in Portuguese means swing. That
Jinga.
movement we
Okay.
do much is our basics. That's how all the kicks and techniques comes from that move, from the basics that we do, the right left. And this one is actually to to confuse your opponent. So this is when we move too much. So we are not stable. We move right to left, up, down. But in those moments, we do the kicks. We do
Yeah, and
the
yeah, then
technique.
the opponent is confused because they don't know whether they should be watching at your hands or your legs or your
Exactly.
head or like what's going to
Exactly.
happen. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why people who see capoeira they mistake it with a dance. But the
Yeah.
reality, when those slaves, when those slaves were practicing capoeira, they had to pretend that they are dancing.
Oh
So
yeah,
their
I've heard this before. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so their leaders don't think, they don't think or assume that they are fighting, or they are preparing for something to defend themselves against
Yeah.
their leaders. You know
Yeah, yeah, or the owners or the yeah. So
exactly the
yeah,
the colonel.
I've heard this. So that it was like
Yeah,
martial arts and fighting practice was banned from all the slaves, so that
exactly.
you couldn't organize an uprising, like a violent uprising or anything like that. And that's why they sort of masqueraded
Yeah,
or hid the martial arts sort of within something that looks broadly like a dance. And like, well, if you compare it to like breakdance, I can understand why it was maybe easier for you to approach capoeira than for the average guy if you already had a background in
yeah.
breakdancing, because there's a lot of like similarities, at
Help me.
least for my uneducated
Help.
eye.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, breakdance helped me to uh, to to actually get easier into capoeira because they're
Yeah,
closer. Actually, there's some moves are closer. But yeah. So the beauty about capoeira is it's we call it the fight of freedom, of uh, of like the people who were like in cages, they were
mm.
beaten, they were taking their rights, and they had to come up with idea to do something to get freedom, you know. So even when we play capoeira, you know that we also sing. So we play music and we sing as well.
Ah, okay. I no, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Music and instruments are the soul of capoeira.
Okay.
When we play the, for example, the students, usually the master is playing instruments and he's singing, and they always like the meaning of this music is either about history, about freedom, about like the passion of capoeira, how capoeira started. um, it's always a story about capoeira, you know,
Hmm.
and it's always like in Portuguese
Yeah.
language, you know. So yeah, so that's why we love it, because we know where it came from, how it came to us, you know, and how much difficulty capoeira passed to be legal today, because
Yeah.
just 80 years ago it was illegal. And then there's one master in Brazil who spoke with the government to make it legal again, and then he opened the first ever capoeira school in 1930. In 1930, so he got the permission from the government, and then he opened the school, and then it started to be with the uniform, and
Yeah.
everyone trains under a school, and you know it's more like around the place now. It's not, because before there was times where the government said that people who do capoeira are criminals. It
Hmm.
was criminalized, you know. So
Oh, and this is still like fairly modern, like fairly
okay.
modern times that it was still associated with criminality and
Yeah, just like 80 around until like 8 years ago. But
yeah.
it wasn't true. It wasn't true. It's
Yeah, no,
honestly,
I understand that it was just a way of
yeah,
sort of yeah, yeah, okay. Oh, that's very interesting. It's so basically capoeira is one of the two like major martial arts to come out of Brazil, with the other being Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Do you
yes.
know if do they share any origins? Like, is there like do they where like do you know if they have any shared background? I'm
Yeah,
just asking because I
yeah,
happened to do some BJJ
of course.
years ago.
No, no, unfortunately, no. They have nothing in common. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu came around 40 years ago
Yeah,
with the family called Gracie. The
yeah,
Gracie. So the Gracie family, their grandfather, he learned Jiu Jitsu from a guy in Japan. All
yeah.
right, but then he went back to Brazil, and he changed some basics of it. He changed some understandings, and then
Yeah,
Brazilians like took it from him, so they called it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah. But there was one man, the Gracie Grandmaster. He brought it from Japan.
Okay, but okay.
Uh,
So,
anyway,
but
yeah,
back to capoeira. So is it then that about 80 years ago, is that when it started also to develop from a martial art into a competitive sport
no,
as well?
no, no. Uh, Capoeira started to be competitive exactly 15 years ago. Competition,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, it's new. It's a new thing. Uh,
oh, okay. So that's cool.
exactly. That's why now, if you notice, if you make a research about capoeira competitions, you will see that just now, like 6 7 years ago, schools started to organize local competitions. Why? Because they want to make people train more for a reason. All right. So capoeira was mostly in Brazil in the streets.
Yeah,
So you know, like Brazil is like 80% of people are poor. You know,
yeah,
so capoeira was a way of escaping this poverty. It's like the traditional sport that anyone can do in the street. For example, in capoeira, you just wear any clothes, you leave your house, you look you look on the right, and you see people making a circle playing
yeah.
capoeira. You
Okay,
just join. You just join. You go
yeah,
there and you play capoeira. That's that's how capoeira was.
Yeah.
But in Europe, in the last 15, 20 years, a lot of masters came to Europe in different countries. Now you see in Spain, like 10 masters. In Malta, 2 masters. In Italy, 15 masters. They are all
Oh,
Brazilians. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. For example, my master here in Malta, he came to Malta around 16 years ago. And he opened the school around 10, 11 years ago. He was the first. He's the first guy who brought Capoeira to Malta, you know? So, yeah, so now it's almost every European country, there's a master who has a school.
Okay.
And now what they're doing is they're making competitions on in Europe to make people know more, the government know about it. It's shared in social media, you know.
I Yeah, I think
That's how.
it's a very smart strategy because like I think
Go.
that
Yeah,
I think that at least in the European context, like sports is built around the underlying concept of competition.
exactly.
So then if we think about like if you want to develop a sport and get more attention to it and get maybe also some government funding for your programs and things like that,
Yeah,
you need to organize it around competitions because that's sort of the language that the also the European governments, like Ministry of Health or Sports, they expect competitions and things like that. So I think that framing it in that way in Europe is a very smart strategy for
yep,
getting the word out. Yeah,
exactly.
but
So
how is it
also,
then? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
no, no problem. It's also, like the psychology of people. Sometimes they like to see something intense. They
Yeah,
like to see, for example, it's not the same when you watch a normal football match or when you watch Champions League. It's
yeah,
not the same intensity. You can, well, for example, if it's not the same if you see Barcelona plays against Atletico Madrid, or you see Barcelona playing against Real Madrid.
yeah,
Why? Because people know that there's a hard competition there. They know it's
yeah,
like Messi against Ronaldo, Barcelona fans against Real Madrid. You know, the
yeah,
human
yeah,
psyche wants to see something a little bit far away, something people fight for. So it's not the same if you say people train in the gym or two bodybuilders train in this gym.
yeah,
If you want to sponsor somebody, you will go to someone who's doing something, goes away, goes abroad. He wants
yeah,
to expand. He wants to get big. You are not going to speak with someone who just trains there for fun.
yeah.
You have
No,
nothing.
it's
He just go there, spend some time, and go home. He doesn't
yeah.
have he doesn't have ambition. He doesn't want to be a bodybuilder. He doesn't want to go to extreme. Why would you talk to him? Is
Yeah.
that's
No,
that's
like
why yeah,
that's the way that I think about it is that the distinction between sort of athletics, and I'm not talking about the specific sport of athletics,
yeah,
but just like generally athletics and sport, is that the sport always gives a result. There's an outcome. So sport basically answers
yeah.
the question of who's best. That's
That
the idea. Yeah.
exactly.
So without that, without getting an answer to the question of who's best, then people are like, yeah, but why am I watching this? So if you're just watching some guy in the gym
Yeah,
just
exactly. Yeah,
pumping iron, yeah, it's impressive, but at the end of the day, there's no story to it, right?
exactly. And I also believe that honestly, we as a human beings, we have something inside us that we want to see something different in every field. You
Yeah,
know, like because like in the whole world, every field is filled of average people.
mhm,
Like so you. I think we always tend to look for what is different, who's different, what
Yeah.
is, who's doing something uh, better than others or far than others.
Yeah.
People look at this person. It's not in a way of like, like comparing. No, but like in companies as well, business. There's always employees. There's managers, and there's CEO. You know,
Yeah.
so there's always people who did more work, passed more difficulties. They fought for what they want, but then they got there. They got because they took away harder, more risky, and dangerous than so many other people. You
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah, yeah. But and it's like that's everywhere. That's sort of I think
exactly,
that the sort of human experience in life in general is that whenever you go anywhere, you go to a party. As soon as you
yeah,
go to a party, you start reading the room and trying to figure out who's who in this party. And it's
exactly,
it's it's not an absolute hierarchy. That's not the point. But there
yeah,
is like there are some people who are clearly at the center of this party for whatever reason. Maybe they're the
yeah,
hosts, or maybe they're the subject of the celebration, or
yeah,
they could be celebrities. Like who knows? But there's always some system, sort of of a hierarchy, and we as humans, whenever we go to any situation, we try to figure out what system it is,
exactly, yes, exactly,
who's at the top of that, and where am I in this ranking? So then when we go to a football game, for example, we test ourselves like, okay, if I compare this team to this team, can I predict who's the winner? And then
yes,
that's the experience of watching it unfold. Of course, it starts to influence you that you have a favorite team and you're rooting for them, and maybe that screws up your estimates a little bit. But that's not important. The important thing is that we're constantly trying to figure out like who's who. We're trying to determine the outcomes, and then we see how it plays
yeah,
out, and then we get excited.
exactly, yeah, yeah, exactly. You're right, and it's also based on your future, sorry, your past results. So
Of
you're
course.
following him or that player, and you know that he always wins or always
Mhm.
puts more effort, or the coach is better than that coach. So that means the team is going is have higher chance to win. You know, there's
Yeah.
always uh, best uh, like emotions about different situations. But
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, let's go back to capoeira maybe if you want.
Yes. Okay. So
Uh,
how is capoeira then? Like, can you explain like how does the competition version of capoeira work? Is it full contact? Is it point based? How does it work? I have absolutely no information.
okay, so um, in capoeira competition is contact. We are hitting each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, we don't hit like boxing. No. In terms of hitting on the face, we hit with slaps,
Okay.
with open hand. But
Yeah.
we push, we take down. Of course,
Yeah.
our takedowns are not like jiu-jitsu takedowns or wrestling.
Okay.
We take down in capoeira way, like leg sweeps, or it's, we
Okay.
have we have our system of how to fight, how to kick, how to push, how to pin, like with your legs, or and capoeira in general is about tricks. How
Yeah.
can you trick your opponent in a way he doesn't know that you are kicking from that way or the other way? So
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
do,
Yeah. Yeah.
is before I take down my opponent, I do a different move from a different side. So I trick him. I make a trick for him, so he can go to the left and attack from the right. Okay,
Okay.
it's all about
Yeah. Okay.
to
And you can sort of trick them
yeah,
into putting their balance into a position which you can
exactly.
then use against them to flip them over. Yeah.
So, so let's talk about the system of organization.
Yeah.
Um, so the basics are, when we go to fight, we fight in so many different categories. Okay, let's say kids from 4 to 6. and then from
Yeah.
6 to 8, and then like 9 to 12,
Yeah.
12 to 15, 15 to 17, and then plus 18.
Yeah.
When it comes to plus 18, we fight in categories based on our belts.
Yeah.
The belt we have. For example, my belt is called graduados, means graduated student. All
Okay.
right, we, we have we have a lot of different names for belts. Okay,
Yeah.
capoeira has many different uh, graduations. Before you get a master, is like so many things. Anyway,
Yeah.
so when we go, when we register, when we make registration before the competition, they're gonna ask you what belt are you,
Yeah.
so which belt you have, and how many years you train, and like the name of your academy, what's your nickname in capoeira, which is in my case is Sagui.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. So and then when you go to competition, you will find your category with students who are like you. They train
Okay. So yeah. So the intent is to match you so that the
exactly,
competition is more or less fair, so that you're not
exactly.
putting like a guy
So
with 10 years of experience with an 18-year-old who started last week.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we have beginners, we have intermediate, we have graduated, we have advanced, we have instructors, we have professors, and then we
Yeah.
have math. You know,
When
and
just a
all these guys.
detailed question, but when they ask you like how long you've trained, is it
Yeah.
just about how long you've trained capoeira, or is it how long you've trained martial arts, for example?
No, how long you trained capoeira?
Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
because
like
because
I have the reason why I ask is that I have experience from myself from like going to Finnish Opens in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in white
yeah,
belt series a long time ago in heavyweight, and we were both white belts. The difference was that I had trained for 1 year, and before that, I had zero grappling experience. And the guy I went up against in the first round also had just 1 year of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu experience, but 12 years of wrestling before that. So you
yeah.
can probably guess what happened pretty soon.
No, but yeah, here is the difference. Here is the
Yeah,
difference. If you are doing wrestling and then you do
yeah,
jiu-jitsu, it's gonna help you in a crazy way.
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, there's so many similarities. It's almost the
yes,
same. You know, the difference is like wrestling is like more open and it's about takedowns and stuff.
yeah,
Jiu-jitsu more specific in like what they call them submissions, and you know like how to control the guy down, how to
yeah.
submit him. But if you have experience in boxing, it's not gonna help you in capoeira.
Yeah,
If you have
okay.
if you have experience in jiu-jitsu, it's not gonna help you in capoeira. Capoeira is
Yeah,
a different system. It's like
yeah,
has nothing to do with boxing, jiu-jitsu, karate, nothing. We have different systems, how we lay down on the floor, how we do acrobatics, how we kick from different angles. It's a different thing.
yeah,
and
okay. Yeah.
and in top of all of that, when we play and when we fight, we have to follow the rhythm of the instruments of the music.
Oh,
You
okay.
have
Yeah.
to let you understand something. There's three types of capoeira. There's something called capoeira Angola, which is very slow, and it requires you playing so much on the ground. So capoeira Angola has no acrobatics, no jumpings, no hard kicks.
Yeah.
It's more technical, more inside game. You play on the ground. The music is very slow, you know. And when you play against your opponent, you play so much inside game. You play with him like
Yeah.
this, like inside game. And then there's the second one. It's called Capoeira Benguela. This one is a mix between Capoeira Angola, the slow one, and
Yeah.
Capoeira Regional. Capoeira Regional is the fastest one, is the crazy one,
Okay.
which is the one I do now.
Okay. So
This
so
one,
that's the yeah. That's the
Yeah,
Eddie Gordo version, right?
that's exactly that's the Eddie Gordo style.
Yeah,
Uh, Capoeira Benguela is a mix between Angola and Hijunao. So
yeah,
you play with a medium rhythm, and you can mix between ground and up game, standing game.
yeah,
So go down, you go up, you go down, you go up. You know, it doesn't have so much acrobatics, but maybe you can do like yeah one jump, you can do a cartwheel.
yeah.
You know, now Hijunao is a different thing. Hijunao is the style of competitions. Is
Yes.
the fast one. Is the kicking, jumping, acrobatics, crazy stuff. You know, and the music of it is too fast as well. Pa pa pa
Yeah.
pa 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 pa. Why? So the student who plays, he can match the speed of the music. You know what I mean?
Well,
So these are
it's
three types.
fascinating that
Yeah,
it's even in the competition form today in the modern version.
yeah,
You're still uh, respecting the origins of the sport and
of
the
course.
sort of need
Of course.
to masquerade it as a dance because, of course,
Yeah.
like 100 years ago, yeah, you obviously had to match the speed of the music, or otherwise your story
You are
wouldn't hold
the base.
water. That no, 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 sir, we're just dancing here. Yeah,
Exactly. So this is the beauty of capoeira. Yeah. So all the masters, like even when they teach Europeans, and they teach like those guys who have no idea what capoeira is, they never change anything from
yeah,
capoeira. Stick to the roots, to the instruments, to the ancient masters, how they were
yeah,
doing. Okay, I mean, it's also a smart idea that okay, they try to maybe make capoeira more like a bit modern in a way,
yeah,
but they never change the roots.
yeah,
Same capoeira Angola, capoeira Banguela, capoeira regional. Uh, we have the same uniforms, same belt
yeah,
system. We sing ancient music that was written more than 100 years ago. You know, the only thing they change, I mean, not actually change, but they develop, they improve
yeah,
technique, they make new techniques, like they adjust. You know, but same Jenga, that Jenga we do, that swing from right to
yeah,
left, same. This one
yeah,
nobody
yeah,
can nobody can change this one because it's
yeah,
the soul of capoeira. It's the base that everything comes from. We cannot change
yeah.
it. You know. So yeah, that's why we
I
love it
think that
actually.
yeah, I think that it's fascinating because
Yeah.
there's like these couple of different types of like sort of let's call them archetypes of sports. Like why
Yeah.
does a specific sport exist? Like and like in the Stride podcast, for example, like we spoke with Tyron Dixon, who's an American football player, and American football
Right.
basically exists so that you can compare the sort of sports programs of different universities against each other, and that's why the rules are exactly how they are, so that very different kind of athletes can still form a
Yeah.
team, and then that team can compete against another university team. That's sort of like a one way of thinking about American football.
Yeah.
Then I spoke with Daniil Odenitz, who's triathlete, an Ironman triathlete, and triathlon has a very different origin. So it's just the different. Basically, the idea of triathlon is okay. So we want to answer the question of if we take these three ways of transportation, long distance transportation, swimming, cycling, running, then who's the best in the world? And
Right.
it's very like performance oriented. But capoeira has a different story. It's it's a legit competitive sport, but it's
Yeah.
also about sort of it's also about like carrying on this story, this piece of history
Yeah.
and legacy, and so it's different, but it's just as legit as a sport as any of the other two examples
No,
here.
it's so, I'm telling you, it's so beautiful. I never stuck with the sport or love the sport like I love capoeira, and that's
Yeah,
why I give too much. I travel a lot. I want to know all the aspects of capoeira. I don't
yeah,
want to uh, train in my gym for fun and go to sleep. So I trained 4 years, I think, no, 3 years and a half
yeah,
in gym, kind of building my basics, building my knowledge, building
yeah,
a way, like forming my character of capoeira. And then I started to explore the
yeah,
capoeira in different countries. I mean, I I wanted to meet different masters, students. How is it? I want to see different styles. And then
yeah,
I'm like, okay, I want to fight. I want to fight. I want to compete, you know? And I started actually competing last year. My first competition was in Estonia, 12 October, like this month.
yeah,
So I have
yeah.
1 year exactly now competing. And so far, I competed 7 times in that year.
In 1 year,
In 1 year, I
that's
went
a
like,
lot of, yeah,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
lot of
I was so active.
competition.
I was so active. Like many masters told me, like, you are crazy, you know. For real, like they told me, like, you are so active. And like, I got told by many masters that I will have a good future. I will achieve
Mm,
things because they could see my energy, they could see my passion, how much I
yeah,
give for capoeira, and many of them told me, don't stop, because you will have a good future in that sport, you know.
yeah.
So that's it. Yeah, I mean, every time I travel, I come back and I'm like, I am more fascinated, you know.
Yeah, and I also think that in terms of like just like the speed of development in a sport is like the more you actually compete, the faster you will develop. Of course, assuming that you still have enough time for recovery. But
Yeah,
and we've talked a little bit about this before, that like
yeah.
competing changes the way that you even look at training. It gets a whole different meaning than if you were just to practice and never compete.
I'm telling you, my friend, is a complete mentality. It's a
Yeah,
complete thing. Like, it's like I'm a new person in capoeira when I started to compete.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And thing, because first of all, now you are dealing with pressure. You are dealing with different type of emotions.
Yes,
You are not just wearing your uniform. You go to gym, train 1 hour, come back home, eat your dinner, and sleep. It's
yeah,
you fun. Okay, you love capoeira, yes, of course, but it's not the same. Imagine you all of a sudden start to book your tickets, prepare yourself. Your master is preparing you in a different way than other
yeah.
students in the gym. Like, it
Of
when
course.
I,
Yeah,
when I was training, it was like always we were always doing sequences, movement, techniques, blah blah blah. But when I started to compete, the training was different for me.
yeah,
Now it's like how you kick, how you understand your opponent, how you kick here, how you kick there, how you take him down, how you manage your emotion, you
yeah,
know, building confidence, building. It's a different thing now. It's like,
yeah,
I mean, it makes now at the moment, I am the only guy from Malta who competes. I mean, from
yeah,
my team,
yeah,
I have, like, I don't know, many students in my gym. Nobody have that spirit, I don't know how they call it, but that fire, you
yeah.
know nobody has it. Like, I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, like,
So
you
can
don't
you
want
can
to
you
try.
Islam, can you tell me, is it like my experience
Yeah,
in martial arts competition versus just training was that
yeah,
before I started competing, when I was training, I was basically trying to win in the gym. I was like, when I was sparring with someone, in the back of my head, I wanted to be better than them, even though it was just the training. And that was actually holding me back, because instead of focusing on where I should be spending my time on, I was actually probably focusing on just my strengths, my fortes,
Was that
and
jiu-
just
was that jiu-jitsu? No,
yeah, yeah. And
jiu-jitsu.
so
No, that
because I
feeling.
was trying to win the training, I was just repeating the same things over and over again that I was good at, and basically just trying to pin the other guy. But that all changed as soon as I found the guts to actually go and compete.
Yeah,
Because then what changed was then that, like, the only win that matters is in the competition, and in the
exactly.
practice. Now you need to work on your basics. You need to work on areas where you're not good at. You need to fix your weaknesses, and not just
Yeah,
be throwing
yeah,
your ego around and trying to win your gym buddies, basically.
exactly. And honestly, I agree with you. And they also had kind of same thing with jiu-jitsu, especially in the first 2 years. You know,
Yeah,
because you're coming like from a you're starting as a white belt, okay, and when you train in jiu-jitsu, it's always a mixed class, like you fight against a smaller guy than you,
yeah,
a heavier guy than you, a taller guy than you, a shorter guy than you. And then it's like, I mean, let's accept it, yeah. It's something in the human psychology that we want to win.
yeah,
It's it's something we feel good about ourselves, but has nothing to do sometimes, has nothing to do with ego.
yeah,
I mean, there's also two types of ego. There is the healthy one and the bad one. Yeah.
yeah,
As long as you don't want to hurt your opponent,
yeah,
or the guy in the gym, he's your classmate. He's
yeah,
coming to do the same thing. He want to learn. So because I saw people who come with bad intention, they want to
yeah.
hurt people just
Oh
so they
yeah,
can,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I
So
remember actually, like, I remember one
yeah,
one incident like that. Like, so I was training
this
at this one gym in Finland, which was one of the top gyms for
yeah,
Brazilian jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and Thai boxing and MMA at the time.
yeah,
And but you had like two groups of students there, basically. You had the students who actually competed, and then you had the students who were basically just training.
yeah,
And over time, like, I realized that the guys who were just training were sometimes more dangerous than
yeah,
the real fighters, let's call them like that. And it was because they had the bad ego, as you put it, Eslam. They had the bad ego with them at the
yeah,
gym, and they were desperately trying to win in the practice. And that's when you're not necessarily expecting that. And then they could, like,
yeah.
for
Because they
example, like, yeah,
they don't show in the beginning. So
yeah,
what I would say about that is some people have some some uh, internal issues with themselves.
yeah,
For example, some people have low self-esteem or they have low confidence. What they do
mm,
is, because honestly, jiu-jitsu is so competitive, because
yeah,
you are connecting with a guy that you feel he's just like you, but you cannot accept the idea that he can submit you or take you down, or sometimes you cannot accept the idea of like, okay, why he submits me, why I don't submit him.
yeah,
Some people just want to finish the fight, and they have that feeling of like, ah, I made it,
yeah,
like I submitted him, like I did it. And man, they go home and they have a good sleep, you know
yeah,
man. Some people literally like this, they go like, oh my god, today I submitted two guys in the gym, I'm too strong. like how did they do that? But they go the next day and
yeah,
they get uh, destroyed by everyone
yeah,
in the gym, and they go back feeling so down. I'm weak, because you cannot always win anyway. And
yeah,
as you said, the roles, the fight, the sparring in the gym, it's not about winning.
yeah,
It's
exactly. Yeah,
it's not about winning, because in the gym you are forming your basics for the future to be a
Yeah.
good jiu-jitsu fighter, so you can maybe face any incident in life, and you know how to control people without hurting.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is really about how can you control somebody without hurting them, without
Yeah.
punching them in the face and destroy their jaw. Or I saw videos in YouTube where some guys they caught like some people who steal or do stuff in the street, and they control them until the police comes.
Yeah.
Because literally, man, literally, if you are blue belt in jiu-jitsu, you can control any human
Yeah.
who doesn't train. If you are
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
blue
Because
belt,
it's sort of counterintuitive. Yeah.
because you know how to do stuff, and they have no idea what you are doing,
Yeah.
but they will find themselves like in 1 second trapped
Yeah.
in on the pavement. They cannot move because you hold them, like when you mount and you put your legs under their body and you control them, they cannot move. And
Yeah.
in their mind is like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
That's only if you're blue belt, man, and you will have
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things stuff.
Yeah.
In,
Imagine going beyond,
if
but
you are
okay.
black belt, if you're black belt, you can the guy can't even breathe, you know.
Yeah.
So that's, but when you go competition, it's, yes, there you show all what you have. I went
Yeah. Yeah.
also
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
I went to compete as well in Rome, and also the emotion is too much as well. It's crazy
Yeah.
emotion you get when you compete jiu-jitsu. You know, it's not easy actually, but anyway,
When so your next competition was it so that your next capoeira competition is in Barcelona? Was it
it's Madrid.
in
Madrid.
Madrid? Ah, sorry,
Yeah.
Madrid, and it's in November,
December 14th.
December.
December
I,
14th.
I had almost the details in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
The right
Have like
country, though.
less than 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, so let's talk about that, like touring and competing and going around Europe and the logistics of it. So like,
Sorry. Yeah.
can you talk a little bit first of all about what's involved there from a practical perspective? So seven competitions in a little bit over a year means that you're basically you're out of the country every other month or so.
Almost. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, so in total, I went to Estonia 2 times.
yeah.
I went to Netherlands, also competition in Holland. I went to Paris 2 times. I went to Budapest. Budapest was world. It was World Capoeira Federation
Ah,
championship.
okay.
So this one is many people, different countries. It was really good. This one. Um, yes, I went to Budapest, and now last month I went to Sweden. This
Yeah.
one, the one I went to Sweden is the biggest competition in Europe. It's called
Okay.
VNB. Very very professional organization. A lot of investment. Very very organized. Very
Yeah.
good coaches, masters. So many students came. Was amazing. That's last month in Sweden, and last week in Estonia again,
Yeah.
where I almost got first and I almost won the belt,
Yeah.
almost.
Next time.
But I'm facing the guy. I'm facing that guy next year for the belt
Yeah.
as well. So we're gonna get it. you know.
But
Yeah.
so then, how do you sort of organize for that? Because like, well, next ride is trying to fix the problem of getting sponsorship money into lesser known sports, and I assume the capoeira is definitely one of the sports where it's um I'm assuming that you find it difficult to find sponsors
Yeah. Of course.
for the
Yeah. Of
sport.
course. Yeah. I mean, like as I told you, like most people, they won't see. the bigger the the bigger picture for the future. They see
Yeah.
what they can get now. So, as I told you, if you are not at the moment, if you are not a champion of the world or whatever, and then plus it's Capoeira, so it's like especially
Yeah.
here in Malta, it's not so big, so it's hard to get someone to work with you. You know,
Yeah.
they everyone is like, ah, okay, maybe not now, maybe later. You know, and I'm like, all right, I think it's gonna be hard to catch someone in Malta. So that's why I started to look abroad. You know, if if it's possible. And then like when I met with your organization, I'm like,
Yeah.
let's give it a shot. You know, but it's
Yeah,
hard.
because
Yes.
I think that there's like three elements. Like, well, one thing is of course like the sponsors. They also like they have limited time. So sometimes it's just a matter of fact that they just don't know the sport and they don't have the time to figure out whether you are who you say you are. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
But
Yes.
that's the easiest thing to fix. But then there's the two other things, and like one is that even like smaller sponsors, they the only way that they know how to think about sports sponsorship is that they start thinking like, okay, so how does like Adidas do sports sponsorship, or
Yeah.
like they immediately go to the global top level.
After.
And that it's a like that's one game of sponsorship, but that only works if you're running $1 billion company, or not even $1 billion company, but $1 billion sports sponsorship budget. Then you can
Exactly.
play that game at the Champions League level. And actually it's like that game isn't doing so well actually, and because there's so much inflation now. But
Yeah.
but smaller brands shouldn't even actually be thinking about that. They should be thinking about it like more strategically, smarter, and bringing it to their own level. So if, let's say that, like for example, like in the if we think about just capoeira, it's very visual, it's beautiful, it's
Yeah.
got the rhythm in there, so it's also it's both audio and visual.
Yeah.
And so even if you think about it just from a content perspective, even for an audience that doesn't understand the competitive rules or anything about it, it's beautiful. So even at that level you can already like start using it. And you don't need to you don't need to rely on the sport providing you with a lot of viewers. Like of course, like if you're sponsoring like an NBA team, you're going to get a lot of eyeballs on that game because of the viewership of
Of
NBA.
course.
But
Yeah.
that's just one part of the equation. The other part is that if you have a company, let's say a medium-sized company, you already have your own audience, you already have your own customers, and things like that. So
Correct. Yeah.
you can take something, content, for example, from capoeira, and you can bring that to your existing customers to tell them a new kind of story. And
Yeah.
so it's there's all these possibilities, but it's just that like most brands, they think about it in a very narrow mindset, and then they always end up with the same answer that no, like we can't afford this now. Yeah, you can't afford it because you're thinking about it the wrong way. But if you
Yeah.
open up your mind to the possibilities, then maybe it's actually a really good idea to put a little bit of money aside for Eslam to go to Madrid and build a story around that, and then be part of building this story of like going from Malta to Europe to the world, while building this whole new competitive sport at the same time. So like I think that there's just a great story there.
There is, and you're completely right. And I thought about that, and I'm like, man, like since since I am the only one who competes from Malta, and by the way, it never happened here in Malta before in the past that
Yeah,
somebody comes from Malta and go around Europe and bring trophies and bring um, cups and medals and things to Malta.
yeah,
Okay, and by the way, like when I go abroad, it's I'm representing Malta, but
yes,
still
yeah, yeah,
the government maybe doesn't know about me, or the sport association. Maybe I will go there later on,
yeah,
because if they want to be like, if they wanna if they wanna think well, they will be like, okay, we have one person here who represents Malta. What if we take him and we help him represent Malta in international stages, and
yeah,
then wherever he goes, he wins, and then he holds the flag of Malta. As now now it's like Malta have capoeira in it. Now it's
yeah,
going out with a different sport, you know.
yeah,
And I'm telling you, like, I am not I'm not even asking for like too much help. It's like when I travel, or maybe like some other few things, but in return I will also like help that company who sponsor
yeah,
me for exposure, social media. I write their name on my uniform. If I win and I get interviewed, I speak
yeah.
like I give
Of
them
course.
shout
Yeah,
out. It's many other things. So even if I get sponsored by a small company or a small brand, we are growing together, because I'm also
yeah,
growing.
exactly. Yeah,
Like I'm also like, and I think it's beautiful to start with someone who's in the beginning, and then you are with him until he's too
yeah,
big.
yeah,
Like look at the story. Like after 2 years, you will be like, we are happy to be the sponsorship of Sagui, since he started as a beginner, and now he's a champion of Europe.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and then
exactly. And
you make
yeah,
a video of like highlights, how you started, how you went through many hardship, and then you made it.
yeah.
Like, so yeah, one of the
And
good stuff.
it's and it's like I think that especially in Europe, of course, like the sort of holy grail of sports sponsorship is of course like United States of America, where everything is bigger and better. But it's not only
Of
just
course.
that it's bigger; it's also more diverse. So like the American system is so much ahead of Europe in sports sponsorship
Of
that
course.
in US, like small companies, medium sized companies, um, they spend significantly more in sports sponsorship and athlete endorsements than European companies, and it's not by a small margin. It's like on average, I would say that American companies spend 3 times as much of their revenue in sports sponsorship compared to
Yeah.
European companies, and I think it's because the American companies have have understood the value of a good story. The European companies still tend to think more about like, okay, this is my product or this is my service, and like these are my specifications, so this is how I'm marketing it. The Americans have figured out that no, that's not it. You're selling a story, and if you're selling a story, you want to have someone who represents you who also has an interesting story, so that you can combine these stories. And
Yeah.
then if it's a story of coming from going from Malta to Europe to world, and if you're also, let's say, going from Malta to Europe to world, then there's your fit right there.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's true. I mean, Malta here is especially in Malta, by the way, especially in Malta, because if they don't know like about this sport or something, it's like no,
Yeah,
sorry, no, sorry, and I'm like, you know, we can work together, and we make things like better for future, you know. But something
yeah,
else, most most companies in Europe, when they want to sponsorship, they prefer teams, like a whole league, but individuals is like, uh
It doesn't
you
work.
know, he won't do much, he's alone. And they want the bigger picture, they want more people.
Yeah,
When they put money, like, they want clubs, leagues, you know
yeah,
but I don't know. For me, it's like, if just one company like believes in me and we work together, I'm pretty sure, like, just 2025, I have almost 7, 8, 9 competitions
yeah,
with big ones. So, I mean, instead of doing, I am gonna do
yeah,
them by myself anyway. I'm gonna go
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah. But
So
it's yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Well,
Yeah,
but we're also here to support you and also support the sponsors. So to make this work for everyone, because you're on a good journey. It's a worthwhile journey, and we want to make sure that you get the support that you deserve. Okay, so
yeah.
Islam, thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much.
much for this interview and going through like capoeira and setting me straight because I had some misunderstandings there. Thank you so much.
No, I know.
Any final words you'd like to share?
Um, First of all, of course, I would like to thank you to create this idea, actually, that we really need at this period of time, especially all the new athletes who are doing great job, but they couldn't find anyone to help.
Yeah,
And some people work like full-time jobs, or like even two jobs, just so they can
exactly.
have a normal life. In the same time, they are training so much, preparing for competitions, doing a lot of hard work, diets, uh, training twice a day. So at least organizations like you make us feel like maybe, you know we would have like a better time, better future, if we get help from other brands or organizations. So yeah, and I hope, of course, we make that successful journey. And thank you so much, man, for interview. Was nice to speak with you, and I'm looking forward to any other meetings or interviews. Thank you so much.
Islam, thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, my friend, and looking forward to hear from you. Any updates, or if I need to do something, I don't know what's the next step. So
Yeah, yeah, we will let you. We will let you know. Okay, thank you so much for this interview,
you
and have a great week.
you
Bye.
too. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you for tuning into Stride, where we elevate the game for emerging talent in niche sports. Before you go, here's a quick recap of what Next Stride is all about. At Next Stride, we're driven by one mission: to revolutionise how athletes in niche and emerging sports are recognised and supported. We connect athletes and federations and brands through a trusted, transparent platform, creating real opportunities for growth and long-term success. Whether you're an athlete, federation, or a brand, Next Stride ensures your achievements, support, and sponsorships are recognised and rewarded. To athletes, join Next Stride to get verified recognition for your achievements and access sponsorships that value your potential. To sports federations, partner with us to drive recognition, improve operations, and open new sponsorship avenues for your athletes. To brands, looking for authentic connections with athletes and fans in niche sports? We provide a diverse range of talent, offering transparency and superior return on investment. Visit us at nextstride.com to learn more. And a special thank you to Arttu Silvast, who composes and produces all of the music and audio for Stride. We'll see you next time. Keep pushing forward.